Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV. Good Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. Here we go. We're off and running now. As you see, if you're watching on Warchant TV, first of all, thanks. But a little bit different. This is a weird, disjointed, convoluted week, and it's mainly my fault. It's the last of the jumbled sort of weird weeks. We'll give you the lowdown so you can kind of understand the schedule. I always appreciate that you guys listen and or watch or do both or download the podcast. I also want to be honest with the fact that some of these segments will be recorded. Some of the stuff will be live. Most of the stuff this week is recorded. And we have had to move some things around. I have to leave town for a couple days. And then at the end of the week, hey, this is a good way to lead a show, right? I get to have a colonoscopy. And those of you that have had one, I have not. This is my first. I'm a little late to the game, but I'm having one now. And I'm told by everybody that, you're not going to really want to be able to do a show that day, Jeff. That's you're going to go ahead and take a day for yourself on that day. So I'm going to take a day for myself at the end of the week here as that gets started. But then we're all good. Everything's good. I'll explain later on. Let's get to the sports. Let's get to the stuff. Florida State scrimmaged last night, and unfortunately for us, we're not able to watch it. And we can only go by what the coaches have to say after it. A lot of you may have read what we had there on warchant.com, kind of a summary of what the coaches had to say. And, Tom, I don't know where you want to start on this, but whenever we go into a weekend like this, they're not practicing today, guys. So, honestly, this is a perfect day for us to have a recorded show. There's nothing that's going to be revealed today, we don't think, since they're not practicing, they're resting. They get back after it tomorrow. But whenever they go into that first scrimmage, I get excited. It means we're that much closer, and we're going to find some things out, even if it's just trusting what they're having to say. But also, I get nervous. When you go full on live and you take it into the stadium and the lights are bright and everybody's adrenaline is up and competing for jobs and reps and they want to shine, the intensity is ratcheted. You worry that somebody's going to get hurt because football's a violent game and that's the way it's played. Luckily, it sounds like, from what we can tell, I think Mike's words, quote unquote, nothing excessive, no excessive injuries, which means a football game was basically played and there might be some dings and bruises because that's what happens when you play football. But nothing excessive seems to suggest to me that nobody suffered a serious setback that's going to cause them to miss serious time. And that is where I start. I always start with that. When you've got a good team and you know that team's capable of playing at a very high level as it's currently constructed, you don't want to change. You don't want to hear anything that changes that perspective like we had last week when Darrell Jackson didn't get his waiver, right? That was the first thing that you thought of. You thought, okay, I knew the team to be this thing. Now it's not this thing. They've chipped away at that thing. They're lesser than. They're still good. They're still going to be all right. Everything seems okay, but they're lesser than when you lose that chip, when you lose that piece. Coming out of the scrimmage, I thought, don't give me another lesser than. Don't give me another chip. Don't tell me somebody that we're counting on is out. And we did not hear that. That's the good news. I think we start there.
Yeah, agreed. Adam Fuller said later on in his press conference that Omar Graham, linebacker, got a little banged up, but he showed what he needed to do before that, and he should be fine. Like it's that kind of a discussion, and that might apply to some other players. But if you're going to go about it that way and say the guy got the work in, a little dinged up, no big deal, he should be fine, then yes, you can handle that, especially on the 13th of August, which is when the scrimmage was conducted. That's plenty of runway to get towards the game itself against LSU. And that's what it's not like there's a ramp up process to this. So there's an urgency when you get a report from a scrimmage, not necessarily about the aptitude of what was done, although there are some headlines there that I think are worth bearing out and fleshing out too. But it's not a Duquesne followed by a Boston College and then LSU. You got to be ready to go out the gate. And that's where I think, having some of these veterans, maybe as Mike Norvell said in Jacksonville last week when he was pressed by the Jacksonville media, if you're going to manage time, this is why you do it, because there is no preseason with Duquesne. You got to be ready, and we got to time release this thing, because if you beat LSU, you are putting yourself on the fast track to a college football playoff berth. It's so immediate part of me loves that, but then part of me, as we're getting through camp, hates that because it's just it doesn't. You're not dead in the water if you lose to LSU, but it just makes it so much harder because you almost have to run the table from that point on.
Yeah, it's interesting. I understand what you're saying. It's about you're thinking about the college football playoff, right? That's what
as it pertains to the playoff. Yes.
Yeah, that's what you were saying. Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, you kind of do. Probably. Yeah, probably. I think so. Yeah. There's a part of me that says 10-2 with a win in the ACC championship game could get you back. You could maybe get in. You could maybe, but it's unlikely to your point. Yeah, and the way I look at it too is going over to Clemson at probably a road game. I know it's a road game, but probably at night.
Yeah.
Probably, you just kind of, would you really want to be in a must-win situation with that? I mean, that's added pressure in an already pressure-packed environment.
Right.
So,
you want to be able to go up there with nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose. Let it fly.
And if it doesn't work out, that's all right. Run the table. You'll see him again in Charlotte. That's the position that you want to be in with the LSU win. So anytime that there is a development in practice, some we can talk about because Mike Norvell or the other coaches go on record, some we can't. It's all against that, man. You shouldn't have like a finality to a first game, but there feels like there's some finality to the first game of the season.
Well, and it's weird too, Tom, because this is the time of year where I start checking in with a lot of people throughout the league, or at least, maybe not throughout the league, I should say, at least the teams that are maybe a threat and on our schedule. I'm not checking in with teams that aren't on our schedule, and I'm not really checking in with teams that I don't believe to be a viable threat to win the conference or to beat Florida State. But if you're on that list of teams that I think could beat Florida State or are good enough on a given day, certainly, to beat Florida State, that means they have the requisite line of scrimmage strength or a talented quarterback, whatever that might be, a good coach, something like that. Then I check in with people and I read a little bit more of their coverage on On3, and I find out and we know a lot of people that cover these teams. It's weird. The reason I bring that up is I don't like to think of the LSU game as an ultimatum on the season. Like you're saying, I don't want to look at that game that way. I want to go into that game. I want to judge what I think Florida State is compared to, and LSU should look at it this way too, compared to another top 10 caliber program in the country, right? What are you? It stands to reason when you're playing a top 10 caliber program, you could lose. I mean, it's a top 10 team. Any of the top 10 teams could beat each other. We know that on a given day. You turn it over inside your 10, you lose the game, or something weird like that. You give up a big special teams play, whatever it is, you lose the game. The other teams are good enough to do something about it. And I don't want to feel like walking out of that stadium if Florida State falls 27-24, 37-34, whatever it might be. Oh, God, the season's over, because it's not. It's really not.
No.
But when we go back to checking in on other people, I'll tell you what, man, it has been exciting to me. Obviously, I look at it from a certain lens. I don't think Clemson people are all that excited about this offense. Let me put it that way. I think they're a little concerned with their offense at Clemson. That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm getting. A couple people I know that cover Clemson have said, it's a work in progress.
Mm-hmm.
So I keep that in mind. I don't know. Maybe they'll be great by week 4. Who knows? And certainly that team's got plenty of talent. So they're not devoid of that. But I'm suddenly not looking at that week 4 game as like a death march, like into Clemson, where we haven't won in forever. And it's been a long time. And it's a legitimate atmosphere, one of the few in the ACC. I don't know, man. Maybe we're poised and ready to go in there and dominate that game no matter what happens in the LSU game.
Yeah, for sure. And if you play a classic and lose it, that's different than losing by 10 points or more, or something along those lines. So that helps with the committee and perception, and it's the SEC bias that actually works in your favor. I get all of those things. It's just that the safety net is gone at that point. So, for example, to get into specifics about the scrimmage, when Mike Norvell says that we got stopped on the goal line early on in last night's scrimmage, damn it, man. It's just the red zone stuff it's going to be an issue until it's no longer an issue. And then you go further down the line. He says, well, then we got back there again and we punched it in. I'm going to read that personally. Nobody, no inside information, no nothing, as the first team offense gets down there and the first team defense stops and stuffs the first team offense with a goal line stand. Mm-hmm. And then the second team offense gets down there, fewer talented bodies on defense, you punch it in. Like, I feel like that's what that is. Don't know that for a fact, but you just want that first team offense to be able to, they don't always have to dominate and impose their will when they're in the red zone, but they've got to have aptitude on a level that they did not last year. Because you couldn't cash it in the red zone last year against LSU, Fabian Lovett gets hurt. You just can't have these trickle-down effects. You probably should have lost the football game because you didn't cash it in the red zone. The 2-point conversion, that never happened. We'll never know. But it's those situational failures that can separate you from being a playoff team and a non-playoff team. So I'm not panicking about that, but that's concerning, and I'd like that to stop. And then Coach Norvell said later on when he was talking about the offensive line, this is reiterating that Robert Scott message and we've had segments about this in the last week, that they're managing some players, that they should be getting some guys back in the mix this week. Basically, it sounds like they want to mix and match early to maybe the late portion of the week, but they're going Tuesday through Saturday, straight through every day, and then a scrimmage on Sunday. And the way Coach Norvell talked about it is they're going to be back to full strength by the end of the week. We can't go into specifics about that. The Robert Scott thing is kind of an open secret because Mike Norvell said they're going to manage him. He's played a ton of football. But I think there's a couple other guys that Coach Norvell is very excited to see back into the rotation so that Florida State's depth can be at its peak. And it's a better chance to succeed in these situations, like maybe a goal line where they didn't get the job done and they're pissed off about it.
All right, a couple things there to unpack. I am not concerned about them in the red zone this year. I think they're going to be great. I think they're going to be great in the red zone this year. I really do. I know why you said what you said. You're right about referencing last year's ineptitudes. I don't think that's going to be a problem this year, partly because I think when they're fully healthy within that offensive line unit, they've got a lot of answers in terms of the kinds of guys that can get you a half a yard or a yard, right? So, again, we can't get specific, but I think a couple of those guys are going to have greater opportunities to help out there.
Yeah.
Secondly, the options with the tight ends and the kinds of play calls that you can have with that height and that talent and that size, I just think they're going to score. I believe the modern game in the NFL and in college football has shifted away from the ability to have 3 yards and a cloud of dust mentality in the red zone. Guys are too damn big. The only team that does it with any great success or any regularity in the NFL is the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yep.
And they do it better than anybody. They have an entire package for it, and they have a quarterback whose legs are the size of the offensive lineman's legs. And so they go, literally that's where having a quarterback that likes to squat with the linemen and did all the way back in college. And they've done so many specials on this. It's, you roll your eyes, but he's a monster. And they get in there with these packages and they're able to shift and get everybody. It's almost like a rugby thing with Jalen Hurts. It's silly. I don't know. We don't have that. Jordan Travis isn't that.
No.
But what Jordan Travis is incredibly elusive and incredibly fast, and the ability to tuck it and get him outside, and play action, all that stuff. And with all the different tight ends that we have in the side, I just think they're going to be great in the red zone. I really do. I think they're so much more equipped. They really didn't have a threat at tight end last year inside the red zone. They've got 3 of them now. They really didn't have this offensive line with the guys we're talking about, that extra size, that extra oomph. If you go heavy, they really didn't have that. They had to, I don't think you need Lundy back there this year because you have a Jaheim Bell. I don't know. I think you got plenty of options. Benson is even stronger than he was a year ago, even bigger than he was a year ago. You and I look at Benson and we go, holy moly, that's a monster.
Yeah.
He wasn't running. Think about early in the season, the way he ran compared to late in the season. Now you enter the season with that guy running like a man who trusts it. I think they're going to be great in the red zone. I'm not worried about it, but I understand it. And think about this. When we say red zone, we're not just talking about goal line. We're talking about red zone. Well, last year's red zone problems, you couldn't kick a field goal. For a large swath of the season, you had to call plays as if you were just going to go for it no matter what the down and distance was inside the 20 because you didn't think you could make the field goal. That's not true anymore.
Agreed. And it's not the skill position that worries me. It's the offensive line. And specifically, I think they need to lock down some answers in the interior of the offensive line. We'll see where they stand after scrimmage number 2. Mm-hmm. It is not red alert, but it is squarely a yellow alert in that specific situation. I'm talking about being stuffed up the gut. I agree with you. If you want to spread it out a little bit more, you want to play out of the gun from the 5-yard line, with all the weapons that we do have, or the pistol, you could break out the pistol. Marquison's on one end of the line.
Yeah.
I mean, and Jaheim's out there wherever he's going to line up because he's multifaceted. Who the hell knows? But I get it. There are options, but the imposition of will, I don't know that that's going to be the resounding answer in 2023 to the poor play in 2022, where you just couldn't get a yard when you needed a yard. I'm a little concerned about that.
Well, one of the things, and let's extrapolate that a little bit here, a little bit further. I agree with you because they have a problem with their starting center.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is in the middle of the field where you can kind of spread people out and do the things you want to do with the athleticism he provides and the technique gets him through. It's very different than down on the goal line when he's got a 350-pounder lined up on his nose and he's undersized.
Right.
So you're intimating, rightfully so, it'd be nice to have somebody else be a center on the 1 yard line that could snap the ball, that you could trust. And I'm not talking about any specific guy. Seems to me they brought in a guy to do that. And, we need to see that fostered and just hasn't happened yet. Certainly not that we've seen. So I got you. Because some of that's an element of what you are, Tom, that will not change.
Correct. And Maurice, to this point in camp's been fine. Like, I'm not saying that he's a liability. I think some other guys that are playing in the interior have been more of a concern than Maurice has been. It's just that it is a very specific place, specific time. It's not just going to be goal line. This extends to me to 4th and 1, and it's a long one, and you just can't. Unless you rush up to the line, you're not going to be able to sneak it up the middle. Like little things like this. This reminds me of the discussion that we had, and I know that it irked some when Tom Brady first took over as the quarterback for the Buccaneers, and they went all in and they got these extra pieces, and it's the COVID year. They end up winning the Super Bowl. But I was unimpressed by a lot of the very good things because you got Bruce Arians' clock management issues, and you got this and you got that. If this is a zero-sum game, in 2020 for the Bucs to win the Super Bowl. So everything needs to be up to that elite standard. For me, personally, it's a zero-sum game for the playoff, which means that you're going to have all your details in a row for LSU and Clemson in September. So I get overly critical of small things because I think that's going to be the difference between going 4-0 and 2-2.
I agree with that. Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you bring it up because I think for new listeners to the Jeff Cameron Show who aren't aware what we're comparing and contrasting and what the standards are, is Florida State already worlds better than they were 2 years ago? Yep, that was evident last year when they went 10-3.
Yeah.
Once they went 10-3, guys, we told you right after that, expectations, they grow. Expectations of building upon a 10-3 season is where you go from here. I'll take it a step further. Not only are the expectations that you improve on 10-3 and that that would be 11-2, good Lord, or 12-1 or something like that. And we're talking about beyond the regular season, talking about hopefully an ACC championship game and perhaps a college football playoff game, if not more. So at that standard, you now are judging Florida State's players and execution and ability against the likes of Michigan, Alabama, Georgia, LSU, Clemson, USC, Oklahoma, Texas. I'm naming the bigwigs of college football. Obviously, Oklahoma is not in the same category these days. But, yes, the best of the best, all of the best teams. You've got to show me that you can play on that level consistently. So when we criticize a player, we might say he's not any good. Any good against what?
Right.
Any good against an elite championship standard that we're holding you to. Then he could just be another guy. And if you're going to take the next step, they can't be a bunch of just another guy.
Well, and the next step's right out the gate. It's week one. It's your first game. And again, this is my personal take. It's like what we used to do Monday afternoons after Jimbo's Monday press conferences. So you just read into how they say what they say.
Yeah.
My take is that Coach Norvell is fine with what he's seen out of the offensive line.
He's not in love with where they're at yet.
He's not in love with it, and he's going to be a hell of a lot more in love with it when they're back to full strength.
Correct.
And they're able to – these guys that they're managing that are unnamed – we know one of them, though – when they get them back in the fold and they're able to roll them in and then really find out who the best 5 are and where they can put the best 5. I think
create the highest level of competition possible, and let's see what happens. I have a feeling a guy who played last year is not going to play this year if they're fully healthy. Not going to start this year if they're fully healthy. To me, there's a guy, maybe 2, that fit that category. Right now, I can think of 1. And it's not who you think I think it is. I think it's somebody else on the interior that is not going to play if they get right. So we'll see. Yep. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio Warchant TV continues in just a moment.
Clean, renewable energy means fresher air, healthier residents, new green jobs, and a stronger, more resilient community. How we get there is up to you. Share your input today to help shape the Tallahassee of tomorrow. Take the Clean Energy Survey at talgov.com.
Zaxby's new chicken bacon. Ranch chicken ranch. Ranch bacon. Chicken bacon ranch bacon. Loaded fries. Sorry, cheese. You're important too. Woo, saucy. Zaxby's.
Someone who thought texting was a better idea than stopping for a traffic light slams into your rear bumper. Now your back is injured and you've got to be at work and rehab all without a car. I'm Dana Brooks of Basic Brooks Law Offices, and we hear stories like this every day. You shouldn't pay for someone else's mistake. Call us at 850-777-7777 and we'll make sure you come back stronger.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu. Mm-hmm. Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chungla, as I call it.
The bungalow chung, Jeff?
Is that what is the pork?
The bungalow chung, Jeff.
Okay, the bungalow chungla. It's delicious. All these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of that nobody would know and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
When you need a plumber quick, how long is an acceptable time to have to wait?
Yeah, hey, it's the Millers again. Just calling you about our little plumbing problem.
2 hours?
Hey, we're hoping you can get here soon because the water is getting really bad. I mean, please hurry.
4 hours?
I know you said you were on your way, but, honey, tell the kids to tread water.
8 hours?
Don't worry about us. We're fine.
At M&L Plumbing, you'll never have to wait long for quality, dependable service, right when you need it. At M&L Plumbing, we listen to our customers, and our qualified technicians aim to achieve 100% customer satisfaction. So the next time you need plumbing work or repairs, think of the name M&L Plumbing, your local plumbing experts, commercial or residential. Give us a call, 850-575-9393, or visit us online at mandlplumbing.com. M&L Plumbing, for all of your plumbing needs.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
Jeff Cameron Show, good Monday, everybody. Good to have you on board. Tom's with me, of course. Director Matthew is somewhere out there pressing buttons, probably, something like that. On Twitter, it's at Jay Cameron Show. We were discussing the scrimmage Florida State had yesterday as much as we can, given that we are not allowed to watch the scrimmages. That's most unfortunate. I dream of a day, Tom, where we're able to watch those scrimmages as invited by the head coach. The trust level emerges to a place where they say, let's let Jeff and Tom in at the very least. Those two guys seem to be solid as a rock. We can trust them. We can trust them with our kids. Bring them in and let them watch the scrimmage.
Yeah, I mean, I'm game for that.
I'm lobbying for it.
Yeah, lobby away. I mean, you've been on his sidelines. You've coached for him before. So
I've coached. I've worn the headset. I've heard the dialogue. I've watched the interaction. I sat in the meeting rooms. I looked at the whiteboards. We went over the offense.
And you know what? You haven't been barred from practice. That means you did a pretty good job of telling what you could tell and not telling what you couldn't tell.
That's right. He knows I know that offense. Come on, baby.
From what I gathered, just asking around and then what they said on the record, it sounds like they were pretty transparent with what happened yesterday.
They usually are. If we're not joking around here, they usually are. They're not hiding much. They might hide if somebody has a terrible day, and they may even downplay a great day. But the stuff in between, I think they're going to be straightforward about.
No, and the thing is, as much as a scrimmage counts for, and it's more than practice, a scrimmage counts for more than a fully padded practice. Like, I get that. There are some things like last night, Adam Fuller's lamenting that they didn't generate turnovers. They didn't get the takeaways. Well, if you've watched camp, and Adam said
turnovers,
specifically interceptions, like they're getting their hands on the ball, they're getting downhill, and we put that in the roundtable this weekend that ran on Warchant. You were a part of it, I was a part of it. I think more takeaways are coming just because of the combination of the front four being more gifted. You've got more guys in third and obvious that can get to the quarterback because it's not just Jared Verse anymore. Braden Fisk on third down is going to be a real freaking problem up the middle. And it's the up the middle pressure that I think creates more turnovers in terms of interceptions than the perimeter pressure. That creates more sack fumbles, those types of things. But they've gotten a ton of turnovers so far in camp. So if they didn't last night, not a big deal. But then there's some other things that maybe have been trends that the coaching staff is not happy about in terms of consistency or specific position groups.
I would have liked to have seen some of the younger guys in that secondary. I had a good conversation with one of our cohorts in the business. He doesn't work for us, but great guy, smart guy. And we were just kind of going through our impressions of camp so far and some of the things that stood out beyond perhaps the obvious. Jordan's had a good camp, so, everybody has noticed that. Keon Coleman's going to be a problem for people. Well, yeah. I mean, that's obvious. He was a problem at Michigan State, and they had no quarterback play. So, yeah, all of that. And I brought up, just as I did in that aforementioned roundtable that you should read on warchant.com, the entire staff getting involved there and answering some questions that we were asked, that I've been really impressed with that secondary, Tom. Specifically, that secondary has been, to me, the surprise of camp because they haven't just been good. They've been aggressive and smart, and they've triggered, and they've put their hands all over the football. They've, even when they don't pick it off, they're disruptive. They're making plays. They're playing violent and fast, man. I really like the way they're playing aggressive to the football, almost too aggressive. You're almost like, okay, dial it back a little bit. It's amazing. But guys that you didn't think were going to, I guess, log serious playing time and really help this football team in year one, I think differently now. I've said it before, Ashland Barker's a guy that has really impressed me. He's so long and he's athletic and he's 6'3", and I think that kid's gonna play for you.
Yeah, and he had another good day.
Yes.
What's funny is what they talk about with Ashland is how quick he is to the ball. I think Matt Millar would appreciate his lateral speed. It's not that he doesn't have the downhill speed, but he stays so damn square when he's coming up to challenge the run, and it's almost like he's got a quick shuffle step to get into position. Again, something that Matt would really appreciate and understand. The two of them are elite athletes when it comes to the moving laterally. He's been a player for you. The way Adam talked last night, it sounds like he's not pleased with the way Shaheem and Akeem have come along in camp so far, that they're not going to that next level, but that Kevin Knowles is pushing for a lot of time. He said last night that Kevin Knowles will still play nickelback for us, but he's going to make an impact in that safety room, especially for Akeem and Shaheem, which I believe to be code for one of y'all's jobs is going to get taken if you're not careful, because Kevin is really strong at the safety position. So, you're seeing some shuffling go around there. but then the young guys at corner are very good.
Yes, they are.
There's a lot to work with there. Some things may be a little disappointing, but overall, I think the strength of the secondary is a lot deeper than we probably expected in preseason.
The mentality, the way they've played, the way they've attacked, the numbers that they have, the different types of football players that they have, everything from 5'10", bulky, come up against the run, to 6'3", long, and the ability to run down the field. They got differences. They got guys you can mix and match. They've got guys that they can challenge with other players now, which elevates that competition. You have a coach and Patrick Surtain, who has done the right thing in terms of getting those guys to think about being ball hawks and attack, as opposed to being kind of laid back and guarding an area. We're watching guys now play football, and this was my great lament, and I don't want to relitigate that, but everybody knows how angry I got watching us play in the secondary last year, except for Jamie Robinson, who was awesome. Everybody else was just, and it really pissed me off because I felt they were passive, and I felt like we were incessantly stuck in the zone. And anyhow, I mean, not in zone, and man. And I really wanted them to be able to mix and match and change your looks. And they have the personnel to do that now, both on the defensive line and in the secondary. And that's what creates turnover, because that creates confusion. And when you're not confusing people, you better execute, because every time you don't, there is no confusion from the quarterback. He's going to go and exploit the matchup that he likes best when you're in a predictable down and distance formation. They've got to find a way to kind of change up what the quarterback's looking at pre-snap.
Yeah, and if they do in fact come down with more interceptions, they only had 8 last year. That's embarrassing, man.
There are individuals around the country who had 8, yes.
Like, I think it was 78 teams had 10 or more. 78. I mean, there's only 120 some odd in Division One. Come on, we got to be better than that. But if we do generate more interceptions, for me personally, I'm sure it's a term that's widely used. I had never heard it before. Zone eyes. When I heard Patrick Surtain say in the preseason interview at the luncheon, he wants his guys to have zone eyes. It's like, okay, what a concise way to put the concept into your brain, that you always have to have an understanding of where the football is. And if you can turn around and see what the quarterback is doing, then you should absolutely do so instead of turning your back to the player. That's going to help in 2 other ways. One way it's going to help is it's going to make Jordan better. And I think the Jordan and the receivers are getting a better camp for their own development. They're being challenged more than I expected they would have. But then also zone eyes as a general principle, when Jaden Daniels is the first quarterback that you're going to face, that's very good. You don't want to get caught with everybody's back turned to that quarterback, because that's 30 yards or more, and it's just going to happen in a blink like that.
It's fun when we have these conversations, because you can see it coming together. You can talk about the way that things change. You can talk about how they're going to change, how they'll implement that change. You'll talk about the types of players that can help make that change. You can talk about why they're going to, oddly, in some games, I think they're going to be a feast or famine team. In some games, I think they're going to give up some big plays, because I think they're going to be really aggressive in the secondary. And if you're really aggressive in the secondary, you're going to give up some big plays. Some really smart offensive coordinator is going to see that on film and say, okay, a lot of double moves this week, guys. And they're going to have to max protect, but they're going to go ahead and take some chances, and they're going to make some big plays. That's okay. I don't mind that, because what you have on offense is elite. What you have on offense is likely going to be one of the highest scoring offenses in the country. So if you're going to get beat being aggressive occasionally, and some young corners or young safeties who are maybe being asked to play a little bit sooner than you'd want because they're talented, because their upside is great. All right, they get burned. It happens. All young players make mistakes, but they get better from learning from being out there and making those mistakes and seeing it on film and knowing what's done to them. This is there are going to be some games where we've got to win 41-31, 38-28, something like that. It's modern football. Offenses rule the day. It's going to happen. But those are few and far between, because most of the teams don't have elite level ability to take advantage of those situations. Their offensive lines aren't going to be able to block Florida State's defensive line as currently constructed, with a healthy Jared Verse coming off the edge and added an addition of Braden Fisk. And, to me, again, enough, maybe not where we were with Daryl, but enough. I mean, I think they're good enough there. So I want them to be aggressive. Football now is about taking some chances. You have a lot of feast or famine in the NFL. You have a lot of feast or famine now in college. It's trickled down. You got players, when you watch the league, you have some corners, and it depends the philosophy that you're playing and what your personnel it is. But you have some philosophies where Dallas is a good one, where they will have guys take chances on the football. They tell them to do it. We're willing to incorporate risk. We know that sometimes you're going to get burned, but we need the football back. We need to create more opportunities for our offense. It's an offensive game. I want more possessions. How do I get more possessions? I got to take the damn ball away from you.
Well, think about it this way. If you make 3 critical errors in the secondary in one game, on its face, that sounds inexcusable. 3 critical errors. What's the worst that can happen for them? Those 3 critical errors, 21 points?
Yeah.
21 going to be enough to beat you if you handle your business in the other drives, you generate a turnover or 2? Hell no. We're talking about a race in theory here, in theory, with this offense. You got to be scoring at minimum 35 on average a game.
To beat Florida, without question, Tom. We can start every game with the race to 35 because there's nobody going to hold us down to that. I mean, LSU could, and Clemson might. That's all I'm willing to say on record, that those are 2 teams that might.
Yeah.
Now, somebody could easily say, yeah, but Jeff, there's always a game. I can't predict that. There's always a game. There's going to be a game with inclement weather, high winds, you drop snap, and you have one less possession, a drop punt return, and you have one less possession. Those things happen. But I'm just talking about what this offense looks to be and the talent level on the defense. You almost go into every game saying, yeah, we're scoring 35. Can you get there? Because I don't think you can get there.
Right. Yeah. Look, they averaged in the mid-30s last year, I think. Was it maybe upper half of the 30s?
Yeah.
That didn't happen in NC State, but that's the average. That's how you arrive to the averages.
Correct.
And to me, if you're putting that pressure on a team early on in their own game plan, there's one of 2 ways that they could go about it. They could be super aggressive, which will match you, which means they're going to leave their quarterback in a 5-man protection a little earlier than they want to do so you got a chance for Jared Verse to go make a play. Or they're going to be ultra conservative, but they can't get down by 2 scores. The moment they get down by 2 scores, that game plan goes out the window.
Yeah, they have to dictate terms, yes.
Correct. And then now they have to be aggressive. But the idea is, yes, the offense getting off to a good start is always a good idea. But when the conservative team, I think, is the larger threat than the aggressive team to Florida State. The aggressive team is going to play into this secondary's hands. It's the conservative team that is content with 3 to 4 yards of play, and maybe they'll just be super aggressive and play 4 downs once they get past their own 35 or 40-yard line because they know an 8-minute drive is their best friend. Not an 80-yard touchdown in one play. That hurts them more than the 8-minute drive.
Well, there's no doubt this is the fun conversation going into last season in the NFL. Now, they failed miserably, but Bill Belichick in New England decided to play 1952 football. Like, their whole idea was, okay, all of you are spreading everybody out. All of you are playing pretty fast tempo. All of you want more plays, not less plays. All of you want to take advantage of the rules. We're going to be a bludgeoning device. We are going to run the ball. We're going to have 3 tight ends on the field. We're going to play a conservative on offense because we don't trust our quarterback. He's going to throw mid-range passes. We're going to try to run the ball, and we're going to keep you off the field, and we're going to turn it over to our very good defense. Well, unfortunately for them, they weren't able to execute that style. They couldn't score points when they had opportunities. They got down, to your point, they got down early, and then it becomes a bloodbath because now you're down 2 scores, and you got to play to something you don't have the personnel to play to, and you get beat, you turn the ball over. Lots of teams are going to do that against Florida State this year, I believe. I think they're going to say, we don't want to get in a race with Florida State. We need to get this thing shortened up. We need to run the ball. We need to challenge the physicality of this game and see if we can keep them on. But who can do that? Well, LSU probably can, and Clemson probably can. Maybe somebody else. I don't know too many, but that's how you have to beat Florida State.
No, I think the fun part with LSU is I think that they're going to draw it up to be a track meet too. I think they like their offense better than they like their defense, and that's Brian Kelly's way. I think they want to play this in the upper 30s, lower 40s, and let's go. But beyond that, I think it's fair to say that we should expect Boston College, Southern Miss for that month of October, the entirety of it.
They're going to run the ball.
But if it's 4th and 2 on their own 39-yard line, be ready for them to go for it. Be ready for them to go for it. They know that every possession counts. They punt to us, they're dead. So I expect other coaches to take trick plays, chances. This is the kind of stuff we saw 10 years ago. And it's what teams had to do. Think about, actually, 2012 is a great example with Chad Morris, his first exposure down here in Tallahassee. Mark Stoops feels alone on the sideline because he broke out the whole bag.
Yeah.
They knew they couldn't win a straight fight. So what happens when you can't win a straight fight? You try to do weird stuff.
Yeah, you got to cheat. You got to punch somebody in the testicles. You got to do what you got to do.
Now, that's not LSU, though. They think they can win a straight fight, and they might be able to.
They may be able to. You're right. They have the weaponry to do it. This is getting so fun to think about because I really believe it's going to play out this way. We're able to provide context for our listeners about how these games are going to look. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Hey, guys, our next partner is AG1, the daily foundational nutritional supplement that supports whole body health. I drink it quite literally every single day. I began using AG1 because I'll be honest with you, I don't like to take a bunch of pills and vitamins, and I just wanted something that tastes great, was quick, and easy to remember. So I do it. I do it every morning when I wake up. I certainly have it right after my coffee and before I work out. And I will tell you this, too. It is a simple, effective investment for your health. You can try AG1 and get 5 free AG1 travel packs and a free 1-year supply of vitamin D with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/JCS. Again, that's all you got to do is go to drinkag1.com/JCS. That's drinkag1.com/JCS. Check it out. It's delicious. It's quick. It's easy. It's proven. Vitamins, probiotics, whole food source nutrients. Start your day with it. You'll feel better. I promise.
This is Kyle, service manager from Barano Heating and Air. Schedule an appointment from your mobile device to learn about our Total Comfort Service Program. With guaranteed same-day service, 15% off necessary repairs, and $25 berry books to use towards air filters and other products. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Any day, anytime, anywhere. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license CAC 1816-186.
So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu.
Mm-hmm.
Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chungla, as I call it.
The panko lechon, Jeff.
Is that what is the pork?
The panko lechon, Jeff.
Okay, the bungalow chungla. It's delicious. All these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of that nobody would know and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Back to the scrimmage itself, and while we're having a larger discussion about what we see this team emerging to be and what the personnel suggests they are and how teams are going to have to play Florida State, I do think that it's worth noting Jaheim Bell sounds like he was another star, another day in which he was a star for this football team. And this is a guy that, has impressed me every day we've been out there, starting in the spring. Every time you saw number 6, you went, well, that guy looks like he should be playing in the league. And sometimes when you get a transfer portal player, you don't know what to expect. Much like Braden Fisk, right? When you saw Braden Fisk, you're like, well, the body type looks like it plays, but he was hurt in the spring. So we really didn't get to see him other than he hustled every day in the drills that they were doing, the non-contact drills. I loved his engine and I liked his body type, but I wanted to see what kind of violence he played with once they got the pads on. Well, that question's been answered. He's a freak. He can do a lot of things. He's going to help this football team. But Jaheim Bell's a guy that from day one, when we just watched him run, at that size, with a body type that looks like that, you thought, well, that's clearly a kid who, no wonder he had a lot of success and was utilized as often as he was in South Carolina, in the SEC. He's going to help us right off the bat. And he has really done that every single day he's been out there. He's durable. He's tough. He's a load to bring down. Sounds like, from what we could tell with the comments post-scrimmage, that happened again. I thought it was pretty funny that he went up to Adam Fuller after the scrimmage, according to Adam Fuller, and said, we need to work on tackling. when you're the tight end and you're telling the defensive coordinator, guys need to work on tackling. Yeah, man, tackling you is not fun. It's easier said than done. You're going to cause a lot of people to need to reflect upon tackling because you're huge and you can move.
Adam took that to heart too, because he was pissed about the way they tackled in general. I don't know that it was the Jaheim play by itself, but that little intense, wound tight Adam Fuller that sometimes we get when it came to the tackling. I think Ira asked him about it too. He says, how can he work on it and some of the details? And Adam, he wasn't willing to expound on that one. He goes, you just get him to the ground. That tells you that there were more than a few times where he goes, Jesus, we need to do better.
Let me give you a thought on that. No defense tackles well today. None of them. The game, and I'm going to sound like an old man, but this is true, folks. Believe me on this. Sometimes when I'm in the car with my son and I say things, he looks at me and rolls his eyes like, come on, old man. And sometimes I let that slide, and I think maybe I'm antiquated and I keep driving. Other times I go, no, it's the same as it was in 1979, just like it was in 89, 99, 2009, 2019, son. I'm telling you that this is a thing. It's a through line of your life. It's real. You will do this if you want to succeed. And if you don't, you'll have a hard time succeeding, period. That's that kind of thing. There are those moments you have to have. Here you go. Tackling. People tackled better 25 years ago than they tackle now. And you know why? Because they practiced it every day and everybody was live all the time. Now, listen, there is the good and the bad with that. Injuries happened all the time to starters back in the day because you practice live. And if you don't believe me, look at Florida State. They lost Dan Kendra because they were live. Their starting quarterback, the superstar to be, got hurt because they played him live. Their quarterback. That's how we all played. If you're my age, and I'm old, when I played, we went live every day. And we did Oklahoma's every day. There wasn't a day you didn't. Every day. Well, you're damn sure going to get good at tackling if you're tackling every day.
Yeah.
That's just all there is to it. It's kind of like you'll get in shape. If you're a fat ass and you're doing nothing and you're sitting on a couch and then you go to Orange Theory and you go every single day, you're going to get in shape. You just are. They don't tackle and practice anymore anywhere. It kind of pisses me off because when I hear coaches say, oh, we really got after it today, I roll my eyes. They didn't really get after it. You mean relative to today, relative to the way you practice now. Nobody got after anything. So I'm not saying they're not tough. Players are still tough. Players are still having to go through the paces in 100-degree heat. It is still a difficult thing when you're in the trenches, even if you're just wearing uppers, to have to go at it. I'm not saying, but man, most of these skill players aren't getting hit. Don't kid yourself. It's nonsense.
Yeah, skill position players, linebackers, safeties, corners, receivers.
It is nonsense. It's nonsense. And that's why when I hear them say, oh, well, we really got after it. No, you didn't really get after it. Your offensive defensive line did.
I appreciate that because this is an old man yells at the cloud, but the cloud deserved it moment. You're correct. No team tackles well early in the season. It's a lament of even NFL broadcasters. You could get play-by-play guys and they say another missed tackle, and then in week one the analysts will jump in and say, well, what do you expect? They don't do as much in the preseason as they used to. I mean, this is just the new way of things. It's going to take a while for the tackling to tighten up as the season.
That is correct. It is 100% accurate. Yeah, they don't tackle. And I mean, without getting in trouble for what we see at practice, I mean, how often do you see them tackling anybody? They don't, I mean, it's not a lot of tackling, guys. They play the thud, stuff like that, but they don't really, and I get it. You're trying to protect your players. Look, there is a negative side to tackling all the time and to playing all in. Okay. We've seen it. We saw it under Jimbo. They were still doing it under Jimbo. And, or when Jimbo couldn't police them, they'd knock dudes out. Careers were ruined. Guys got knocked the hell out because players decided, yes, and we know we could talk about it. But
at least one career was ruined.
Well, one wide receiver saw his career end because of it. It's a tragedy. But again, the correlation, it's real. If you don't tackle, just like if you don't practice getting punched, you can't take a punch. Mm-hmm. If you don't tackle, you don't tackle. The way you do anything is the way you do everything. So that's the whole deal. And I think that's, coaches are always going to lament it. They have it in their head the way that guys used to tackle. They have it in their head what they grew up watching. If you're Adam Fuller's age, you have in your head the way you used to practice, the way that you as a player used to practice, and the way that you watch the NFL and the way the game was played in the 80s and 90s. It's just not played that way anymore. And I think that in the NFL, it's usually about week 4 or 5, tackling gets better because now you've been doing it. You have to do it. You play every Sunday, you're tackling. But early on, nobody tackles.
So in the 40 seconds that we have left, what do you make of Brock Glenn being made live?
I'm fine with it because they don't plan on really playing him much this year, like out of need.
There it is. Yeah. You know, I think this maybe tamps down any speculation that he could climb all the way early in the season to number 2. You wouldn't turn him live if that was the case.
That is correct, but I don't think the reasoning is invalid. I believe that he could. They're just not going to let him. Hour number 2 forthcoming. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Attention radio listeners, this is a Foodies Takeout and Delivery new restaurant alert. Now available for takeout and delivery from foodiestakeout.com. The Hawthorne Bistro, Jerry's Love on a Plate, Coach's Pizza, Munchie's Pizza, Red Eye Coffee, Lofty Pursuits, OG Subs, Dave's Pizza Garage, Sakura Sushi, and many more. Find a complete list of locally owned restaurants offering takeout and delivery at foodiestakeout.com. That's foodiestakeout.com. Don't just shop local, order local.
A cup of Joe, Java, brew, go-go beans, brainwater, liquid lightning, wakey juice, whatever you call your cup of coffee, you're missing out if it's not Grassroots Coffee. At grassrootscoffee.com, you'll find an easy way to order the best roasted coffee beans available. It's very simple. Choose the blend you want and how you want it ground, and the bag you receive will have the date your beans were roasted and packaged on it, all written by hand and signed by the roast master himself. You'll know that's as fresh as it gets. You can get Grassroots outside of your house also at some of your favorite restaurants in town. Next time you're out to eat, try asking for Grassroots Coffee by name because there's a good chance they will have it for you. And if you own a business, Grassroots Coffee has options to stock your break rooms with all the productivity powder your team needs. Plus, like some other options that you'll find at work, Grassroots Coffee actually is a part of our community. Get to grassrootscoffee.com today and get yourself a treat. Some locally owned, locally roasted, and locally loved Grassroots Coffee.
Wendy's is open till midnight or later, so you can give in to the craving and go night mode. Now all of your favorite menu items just got their bedtime extended. You can get what you want even later, like the Baconator with 6 strips of bacon, or the perfect fries and frosty duo. If you're up later, then so are we. So go ahead and pull through the drive-thru. When the craving hits, go night mode at Wendy's. Open till midnight or later. All right, see ya later.
At participating U.S. Wendy's, hours may vary.
You can host the best backyard barbecue when you find a professional on Angie to make your backyard the best around. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Inside to outside, repairs to renovations. Get started on the Angie app or visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show, live and local on Real Talk 93.3, WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee.
The biannual blowout is just a week away, and we've got a lot of work to do.
Keenan's Rug Emporium is rolling out a Labor Day bonanza.
Have that flat weave shipment coming in.
He needs 10 new sales associates as the crowds loom large.
Someone run a stock check on all the Moroccan 8x10s.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Every piece of land has a story. The Upshaw's right there's with a John Deere 1 Series tractor they call Penny.
When your project comes up, you have to just jump in and figure out what is it going to take.
From front loader to backhoe, the Upshaws have the tools to DIY all day long. Run with us on a 1 Series tractor and start telling your story. Get $1,000 off a 1025R tractor and 0% APR fixed rate for 60 months. For additional cost information, please call toll-free 855-633-2315.
Let me tell you what T-Spark stands for. It stands for strength, commitment, teamwork, and heart. We don't ever quit until we've got nothing left to give. Our team is unstoppable. Want a guaranteed win? Call T-Spark Enterprises for your next roofing or construction project. We conquer all peaks. TSparkConstruction.com. License number CCC 1331204.
If you've been considering getting a new hot tub or upgrading your existing hot tub, now's the absolute best time to do it. Hot Spring Spas has the jets on full blast, and the prices right now have never been hotter. You can find huge savings at Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas, and we mean huge. For a limited time, you can get up to $5,000 off in instant discounts and rebates, plus 60 months no interest financing for qualified buyers. You heard that right. $5,000 in discounts. And that's not all. When you buy a hot spring spa from Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas, you'll get a free consultation to determine the best placement in your yard for installation, a free accessory of your choice, and install can be completed in just a matter of days. It's the most aggressive rebate program that's ever been available to buyers from Hot Spring Spas. So stop by Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas on Greer Road today to check out their 12,000 square foot showroom with over 50 hot tubs on site. If you're ready to relax, Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas is ready to show you how.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Great to be with you. Hope you're joining us after a fantastic weekend. Another day closer. We are 11 days from the start of college football, Tom Lang. 11 days.
Is that accurate? My God.
Yeah. Like 11 days and 20-something hours.
Sure. But nobody cares about that. They just care about the day counter.
Yeah, it's 11. It's 11, buddy. Woo! What does that do for you? Man, you could feel that all the way down in the plums. You get excited about a football return. You know, I'm going to admit something as we start hour 2. I had some projects around the house to do inside this week, and all inside because we have been forsaken and the world is on fire. And it is averaging 100 degrees with a heat index of 108 for 2 weeks straight. And I'm angry about it, and I'm about done with this. And let me tell you a couple things. If it gets to be in the 20s in the winter here, I don't want to hear a peep from anybody. You shut your mouth, you heat lovers. It's been 4,000 degrees across this world. We're all dying of heat stroke. People falling over. You can't even go outside. It sucks to be alive. It's so hot right now. And if we get a cold winter, I hope it kills half of you off. I'm done with this. There's too many people on the damn planet. It needs to be colder. Let's go. Bring me some fierce winter. I want an uncomfortable winter. I want people to be like, I thought I lived in Florida. I want to hear stupid stuff like that. My God, how about the weather? That's what I want to hear. I want to hear people like, I haven't worn this coat since 74. Yeah, that was the last crazy winter El Nino we had. Yeah, there you go. That's what I want. I want it to be so cold that I'm angry it's cold, and I have to remind myself to shut up and not complain about the cold. That's how cold I want it to be. I want to call Tom and go, God, we haven't golfed in a month and a half. It's been 30 degrees every day. This is nuts.
For the record, sir, I play in 30 degrees in the winter all the time. In fact, I love it. I think it's fantastic.
All right. Right. And Danny, who's a proud Golden Chief booster and has been for over 18 years there at Zaxby's, he loves it too. Yeah. He's a world traveler. He's seen things. He likes different people, different weather, different things. Yes, he does.
Yeah, you know what? I wanted to get so cold in the winter. How cold do you want it to get? That when you get the platter from Zaxby's, that is a source of heat for you.
Get your hands over those. Get your hands over those fingers.
That's right. You open up the platter and then you go, thank God.
Warm it up.
Got the platter.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want my kids to be like, this is ridiculous, Dad, because we get up every morning to go to school and it's early. And, there's nothing like that smack in the face when you walk outside and it's 31 and windy and you're getting ready to go to school at 6:30 in the morning.
You want that platter when you have it on your outdoor deck for a bonfire to look like Reggie White's head at Lambeau circa 1995. They showed that camera shot every week. You remember that?
Yeah, they did. They did.
Every week.
And get you some Zach sauce with Reggie White's hair. Go ahead, get you some Zach sauce. Spice it up a little bit, everybody. As I said, 52 neighborhood Zaxby's here in Tallahassee. Swing on by one of the 52 near you and get you the big platter or the chicken sandwich with the split top bun and the 3 thick cut pickles, however you want it. Maybe get a little spicy with that Zach sauce. That's what I do. Get you some fried pickles to go with it. It's a glorious thing. Anyhow, so I was doing chores in the house because of the godforsaken heat. And I said, I'm not going outside. I'm tired of it. If I go outside, I'm going to go outside to throw something away that was inside the house. And then I'm going to be the a-hole that comes back in after 30 seconds outside and complains about the time that I was outside for 30 seconds. That's how it's going to work. I'm going to come in and my wife's going to be there and I'm going to go, golly, it's ridiculous out there. And it'll be the 6th time that I said it that day, returning from the trash can. I want to be that kind of annoying because I'm tired of it. Well, I did that over the weekend, and this is how desperate I am for football. I'm flipping around. I was getting ready to vacuum, Tom. Now, we have hardwood floors, but we have a big throw rug out in one of the rooms, to offset all the hardwood. You got to have a little
Chairman Jeff rug?
No, it's not that rug. That would be something if we had it in the house that you'd have to walk across me. No, it's not that. It's just this beautiful rug that I bought years ago, and I love it. Anyhow, so you have to vacuum that rug every now and again because our dog Maggie, you gotta vacuum. So I like vacuuming. I kind of miss vacuuming. It's the only thing about having carpet that I miss is the time that you would vacuum the carpet. I like the way that looks afterwards. So I was getting ready to vacuum, and I'm like, I'm gonna put on something that I can watch while I'm doing the vacuuming. I flipped around, and on the Big Ten Network. I wasn't going specifically for the Big Ten Network, but I just typed in favorites on Hulu for football, and then it popped up all the places that football was on. So like NFL Network was running a replay of a preseason game. I'm not watching a replay of a preseason game. You got to be pretty damn desperate to be watching a replay of a week 1 preseason game. Wasn't going to do that. And then I saw where there was other college football game replays on, and they had on the Big Ten Network, Nebraska versus Notre Dame 2001. So a couple things stand out. First of all, the fact that I flipped over to Nebraska Notre Dame and kind of got interested and watched the game, Tom, tells you I am ready for football.
Okay. Is that Ty Willingham?
It's not. It's the end of the Bob Davie era.
Bob Davie. Yeah.
Bob Davie. And it's a young-looking Bob Davie. And Lavecchio was the quarterback, and he sucked. He was terrible. Nebraska won 27-10, dominated the game. It was a time where Nebraska had not yet started to suck. And they ran the ball. Tom Lang. They ran with great physicality. Eric Crouch was the quarterback at Nebraska at that time. You remember Eric Crouch went on to play in the NFL.
Yep. Frank Solich was the coach.
Yeah, and it was fun kind of watching Frank Solich still run that Nebraska offense, and that they wore Notre Dame down and dominated on defense, and they were physical. And Brent Musburger was on the call, by the way. And Musburger was funny. He couple times he was still talking about gambling back in 2001, but something stood out to me about that game that made me sad. It was September the 8th. 3 days before 9/11.
Oh.
And it's so weird because our world, our life, much like our parents' lives, were divided by the Kennedy assassination. Our lives are divided by 9/11. So you have pre 9/11 and post 9/11 if you grew up in a certain era. And it really encapsulates both of us. So I'm watching that game and they flash the date. And I'm like, oh, man, 3 days later, the world was going to stop. It's just nuts to think about that. But then the second thing was I did enjoy having 3 linebackers on the field that were really linebackers. Offenses, it is crazy to think, Tom, that was 2001. We're in the aughts. It's not that old. It's not that long ago. It's not 1983. The offenses are so antiquated. And not because Nebraska, I'm talking about Notre Dame's offense was antiquated. It's nuts to think how quick the ball now comes out.
That's nearly a quarter century ago, though, need I remind you, which is just kind of wild. I ended up looking up the 2001 Cornhuskers schedule and all that they did. But did you know they played in the BCS title game, essentially, because they played Miami and they lost in the Rose Bowl. But even after they got smoked by Colorado in their final game of the regular season, so they finished 11-1 in the regular season. They lost to Colorado 62-36.
Yeah, and it's a game where Colorado had both of their running backs rush for over 200 yards, I think.
How in the hell do you continue on to play for a title after you lose 62-36? What the hell is that? We talk about freebies now for Ohio State and Alabama and Georgia. Like they get a free loss at any point. Like it's a new thing. Apparently it's not, because we had to play Florida again after beating them in our 11th game in the 90s. And then in this particular instance, the 12th game, Nebraska gets absolutely housed by Colorado, still plays for the title.
Yeah, I can still remember that game. Colorado's still running. It was probably the last time Colorado was any good. I mean, truthfully, probably was. And I think it was. Yeah, college football has never decided its champion in a way that would make any sense whatsoever to people who don't live here. So if you lived in Europe and you told, and you're a visiting American, and they said, what is your favorite sport? And you said, oh, I love college football. Oh, really? Tell me about college football. How does it work? Okay, well, it's just like the NFL football. Have you ever seen that? Yeah, I've seen some of it. Yeah. I know in the NFL they have playoffs and they play each other and you move on each round and then you play for a championship. How do they do it in college? Well, people vote. What? Well, this team doesn't always play the same schedule. In fact, most teams don't play the same schedule as the other teams, and they don't play against the same teams at all. So we need a bunch of people to lay eyes on their TV sets and decide they think that team's probably better than that team, but their record could be the same and they didn't play the same schedule. Oh, okay, so then what happens? Well, then based on who the people voted in or the computer says they think is best, then they go in. Do they have a playoff? They play each other in the playoffs? Oh, no, they don't play each other in a playoff at all. No, they play each other in a bowl game. It might have number 2 versus number 12 and number 1 versus number 7. Well, that hardly seems fair. Right. Well, it's based on conferences, alignments with certain bowls. Oh, so where do they play? Well, all over the country. Sometimes you get shipped off to California. Other times you get shipped off to the Northeast. Sometimes you play. Think about how you'd have to explain this.
Yeah, and it also goes to show you how, as time has progressed and we've become modern as a sport here in college football, how the bowl system is just one big shakedown. It's one big shakedown. You think about all these bowl officials that roll on into the press box, and you're like, man. So is this like a stipend that you get? Oh, no, I'm sorry. You're the CEO of a bowl game?
Right.
Good Christmas. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. I wanted that job for the longest time. When I'd see those guys come walking in their jackets, I'd be like, oh, man, they're here for the shakedown. Here for the shakedown money. They get to eat at the Governor's Club tonight. They'll roll on out of here. They'll go on back to their beautiful homes on the beach until they get told next weekend you're going to Alabama versus Ole Miss. Okay, don't mind if I do. Yeah. It's on you. I'm going to sit down and eat whatever the equivalent of the Governor's Club is here in Montgomery. Oh, not Montgomery. In Alabama. At Alabama, yeah, it's nuts. Jordan Hare at Auburn, whatever it is. Yeah.
Tuscaloosa. So 10 wins for Colorado. Just a quick fact check. 10 wins for Colorado in 2001. They've won 10 games precisely one time between that point and present, and that was 2016. Oddly enough, they had a 10-win season not that long ago, but from there it's been 5, 5, 5, 4, 4, and 1 wins, respectively.
It hurt your feelings to be sub-6 every year. And I got to tell you, Dion ain't winning 6 this year. So get ready for another 5-5-5-5 or 4-4-4-4, which should be fun. Florida State scrimmage last night. We as the media are not allowed to be there. We did get to hear the coaches and the coordinators talk about it afterwards. And we've talked a little bit about what that meant, what that was, what you could maybe take away from what they had to say. A lot of that in the first hour. Want to circle back really quickly and just remind everybody, weird week. It's my fault. It's not the fine folks at Warchant's fault or 93.3's fault. I've got a couple of days that I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be up in Atlanta, help my brother out with some things. And then I've got a colonoscopy at the end of the week. I'm an open book, guys. I'm an open book. And so, you know, what are you going to do? You guys have been listening to me since I was in my 20s, and these kinds of things didn't happen. Now I got to go get these checkups. They tell me I got to do it. What are you going to do? Got to do it before the season starts, before we get down to Orlando for the LSU game. Got to get all this stuff done. And this is the week for me to get things done. So what will happen is tonight, the Smash, which is normally on this evening, is going to be a combo Smash Seminole headlines. Me, Ira, and Corey are going to get together, and we're going to do 2 hours worth, and it's a combo. Yeah, it's fancy. Smash Seminole headlines, because I won't be here tomorrow, and we didn't want to have to cancel headlines. And we do run the risk that some of what happens tonight that will be utilized for tomorrow's headlines will become dated.
Yeah.
And that's fine. It can. That's like the old days of Seminole headlines when we used to record it really early in the morning, and then the headlines curse would strike, and we'd find out some big news later that day, thus dating Seminole headlines immediately. But let's see what happens.
It'll be interactive, though, much like it usually is on a Tuesday. So it's tonight. I suppose that's a combo headline Monday Smash brought to you by State Farm agent Russ Voorhis, Register Sausage, Heather Birch Orthodontics, and more.
Yeah, that's right. All three of those. That's right.
Yeah.
Come on in, everybody. Nice to meet each other, right? We're all supporters. We're all doing our things here. Let's everybody shake hands. Let's cross-pollinate a little bit tonight, and then we'll go on our way all rooting for the Noles. Yes, good to see you guys. That'll be tonight.
Yeah, and for those of you that are listening traditionally on radio today saying, I don't want to go do that. I like it when I like it. I'm driving.
You'll hear it tomorrow. You'll hear it tomorrow, yeah.
It'll be on 93.3 tomorrow from 1 to 3. No big deal.
There will be no Jeff Cameron show on Wednesday. None, nada, zero, zilch. Nothing. I'm not here. It's not going to happen. I'm out of pocket. That's the way it's going to be. Thursday, I'm back for a show. It's a quick drop-in because I'm off Friday for the colonoscopy. So there's a lot going on. Now, everything totally returns to normal next Monday, but it's a choppy, convoluted week this week because of me. Now, all of the other stuff, Wake Up Warchant, all the great writing from Ira and Corey and Tom and anybody else, if Matt writes something, all that's Mike, all that stuff will continue business as usual. The great coverage, they'll be at practice every day this week. Just because I'm out doesn't mean they'll be out. There'll be plenty of stuff. All the things are going to happen this week that normally do.
Yeah, that's observations this week, Tuesday through Saturday. This is it. They break it down a little bit more to a normal week beyond this one. So these are the dog days, and this is where I think the roster is going to start to separate itself. You know, Mike Norvell said last night after the scrimmage that depth chart decisions and roster two deeps, they fluctuate after scrimmages, and so we'll be able to see that at practice. We won't be able to tell you exactly. That's Mike Norvell's policy, so it's kind of a bad tease on his part to let you know that there are going to be some changes. But this is it. They go Tuesday through Saturday straight. They have another scrimmage on Sunday, and then they break it down more like a game week after that. So in terms of everyday type of content, it's every day this week, Tuesday through Sunday. You got something coming from the head coach and coming from the players.
Yeah, so continue to be here at Warchant and subscribe to warchant.com. Why would you not? What's the deal right now with warchant.com, Tom? We've always got something going on where we celebrate people coming on board. Is it just a great deal? Is it just there's nothing special?
Fantastic. Just fantastic deals. And I think today is the last day of the Battle's End promotion, where if you join the Battle's End, you can get a Warchant membership through the end of the calendar year.
Boom! Why would you not do that? Get off your ass and join the Battle's End. Let's go.
But I believe today is the last day. So if it's already dated, sorry about that. But there's already nearly a couple hundred folks that have done that, that have joined the Battle's End. A couple have joined the Battle's End at alarming levels, which is great. because FSU's been making a lot of headway. I don't know if you saw the graphic that Director Ben put out this weekend, but Florida State University has 4 of the top 10 players in Georgia committed in this 2024 class.
Yeah, I saw it.
No
Shaking
other
things
school
up in the Peachtree State, and they did the little peach there. I saw it.
He put the sign. Ben put the welcome sign, which is really smart.
Mm-hmm.
No other school has more than 1. That includes Georgia. So the battle's
we're here to take your players, Kirby. We're here to take your players. By the way, when I see the peach, I just think of ass cheeks. I never think of peaches. The kids have ruined me because of their silly emoji language that's been developed over the years. That's all. I see a peach, I'm like, they're not talking about peaches.
Don't get you started on the eggplant, right?
Oh, my goodness gracious. No, it took me forever to figure out why do they keep, what's the egg? Oh, there I was late to the party. There it is. Did you watch any short question here before we get back to FSU? Did you watch any of the Bucks Nightmare?
No. We were at a dinner together, and I decided that was going to be enough. I didn't need to revisit what happened.
We had a great dinner with our friends at the Battle's Inn. But I will tell you this, Tom, I went back and watched only because I didn't care about Baker Mayfield going 8 for 9 and looking good. I cared what Kyle Trask was doing. I was kind of curious, are we about to put the nail in the coffin on the Kyle Trask experiment? And the answer is yes. He's done. It's over. Go ahead and cut him. He's terrible. There's been no progress made whatsoever. Took 3 sacks on him. And looked awful, had the pick as well. Just nothing to see here. He's not a player. So, damn it.
No,
Flyer didn't work out.
No, I think that we need to start him for 17 games to really know whether or not he can handle the NFL.
The problem is the Bucks have enough talent on defense to not get you what you're trying to do, what you're trying to get. You're trying to get Caleb Williams. You're trying to get Drake May. Well, one would presume that if you're going to get either one of those 2 guys, you probably can't win more than 3 games. You're going to have to go 3-14, maybe 4-13, something like that, maybe because it's a 17-game schedule these days, and it still sounds weird to say that out loud, but maybe that's it.
And they have all the offensive weapons back, too.
They kind of actually might be average.
Yeah, I know.
Which is that's the death. Don't be average. Either be great or ass. You can't be average. Who wants to watch 9 and 8? Who wants to watch 8 and 9? You can't do it. It's like, you're not good enough to make the playoffs, but you're good enough not to draft in the top 10, and now we're screwed.
Yep.
That's not.
Which is why we need to really bear down with Kyle Trask. And
let's give some love to Kyle Trask and see what he's really about, Tom, through 17 games.
Yes.
All right. I'll bring it back to the scrimmage, Florida State scrimmage, that is, in just a moment. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV. That buying a home can feel overwhelming, especially if it's your first home. You're worried about location, school zones, square footage, inspections, insurance, loan approvals, interest rates, and of course the price. Buying a home could be the most significant investment you've ever made. But there's good news. You have our friends at Legendary Home Loans, and they're on your side and in your corner. They're going to go to bat for you. Shannon Young from Legendary Home Loans can help first-time home buyers get up to $25,000 for your down payment. For first responders, veterans, teachers, military, and healthcare workers. And that's not all. Shannon is an expert navigator of the home loan terrain, and you can trust that he's going to get you the most competitive interest rates and guide you through the process every step of the way. Plus, Shannon will also get your closing costs reduced. It's the Hometown Heroes program at Legendary Home Loans. Give them a call today, 844-FSU-LOAN. That's 844-FSU-LOAN. Or go to FSUHomeLoans.com and ask for Shannon Young.
NMLS number 2270146.
Hello, Leon County. Let's get ready to win with Ken. I'm Ken Preston. I want to be your next Leon County property appraiser. I'm driven, committed, experienced, and a dedicated community servant. I'm ready to put my experience as a former property appraiser to work to help make a difference for the people of Leon County. Let's go to work. Vote for me. Ken Preston for Leon County Property Appraiser 2024. Win with Ken. A political advertisement by Ken Preston for Leon County Property Appraiser.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF Your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Honey, I just got a text from Dave. He wants us to come over for a barbecue. What's our excuse for not going?
Oh, no need for an excuse anymore because Dave got a new grill from Hearth and Patio.
Oh, thank goodness. Dave, we will be happy to join y'all this weekend, and congrats on the new grill from Hearth and Patio. My wife said she would bring potato salad.
Hearth and Patio invites you to elevate your grilling game this year with one of their amazing grills from Fire Magic, Broil Master, or Blaze Grills. Call them today, 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282, or visit them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth and Patio, making barbecues great in the Sunshine State.
Honey, Dave said no raisins in the potato salad this time.
Call them today, 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282, or visit them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com.
Power Mill Training Academy equips motivated athletes focused on baseball and softball with the specific tools to reach their true potential. Now, you'll read that if you go to their website, but I'm here to tell you that, look, whether it's your daughter wanting to play softball, your son wants to play baseball, or maybe they just want to have fun and get the most out of their abilities, and that's where Power Mill comes into play. They've got coaches and camps that teach for every level of play for your son or your daughter. To learn more, go to PowerMillSports.com. We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. FSUHomeLoans.com.
Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Glad you're on board. Glad you're with us. Hey, I think, Tom, are we announcing, are we doing, what's going on here with the listener appreciation thing? Is that something that I just ambushed you with that I shouldn't have? I feel like we should tell people that it's coming up, that we're going to have a day, aren't we?
Yes, we are having a day. It is a bit of an ambush, but we can delve into it.
I think we know we're going to do it.
Yeah, so it would be 2 Fridays from now. That would be the 25th of August. Earlier in the evening, because Dad's got to go watch son play football in Tallahassee.
What's happening?
You know, all these years after general manager after general manager at our old place wanted high school programming, you could now host one of the high school shows.
I could, but I'm not going to.
On the old airwaves.
Yeah.
But yes, 4 to 6 p.m. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. That's the plan. This year, we've got shirts on, it's almost there in terms of.
It's going to happen, guys.
We've got shirts for you, and then we're going to have free beer for you. I don't know that we're going to do a raffle that takes an hour.
No.
There was a lot of great free stuff that we did over the years, but we were running a radio station ourselves at that time, so we had a lot of leeway to go make those kinds of deals.
Yeah.
But how about free beer? Does free beer sound good to you? Because I think that's what we're going to do in addition to the shirts, and there might be a little bit of a live show element for a period of time in that window as well. It'll be a really fun time. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 4 to 6 p.m. They're going to have live music after that night with Tom and the Cats. It's going to be
great. Yeah.
Yeah, they're great. So it's going to be a big time.
Yeah, and I just wanted people to be able to put it on their calendar. This is the time of the year where it gets crazy busy, and we all have to put things on our calendar. And so the sooner I could get that out there to you, the better. We're finalizing, as you could hear in Tom's voice there, that we're finalizing these plans, but I have faith in the people that we're finalizing these plans with, just like I have faith in Tom Lang. It's going to get done. We're going to be good to go. It's all going to happen, and it'll be fun. And it's not this Friday, but the following Friday. And then it's time to get it on. It's 11 days and some odd hours away from the start of college football. It is something to behold. We're nearly set to lock in on an almost daily basis to some form of football. And we all know how glorious that is. And Florida State's football team is good at playing football once again. So the expectations of this team are through the roof. I can't go anywhere these days. This is not a complaint. I quite literally cannot go anywhere these days out and about in lovely Tallahassee without running into somebody that wants to talk about the prospects of Florida State's success on the football field this year. And I get it. It's a fun conversation to have, and I'm enjoying being able to convey to them just how good the team is. In the past, when I get asked this question and the team's not good, I always try to think of a way to land lightly, to ease them into this understanding that the team's going to let them down. Because fans, by definition, always have lofty expectations of their favorite team, even if it's unreasonable, because what we do as fans. But as somebody who's out there watching practice every day, you can be brought back down to reality very quickly when you see a team devoid of talent. And so when I would run into those people and they would say, hey, what do you think? Are we turning the corner? It always broke my heart. It broke my heart because I could hear the eagerness, the joy in their voice, the expectation in their heart, right? And I'd have to go, well, I think Mike's on the right path, and I think he's got, there's a consistent message, and it seems to me that a couple spots have improved. They've raised the floor in some areas. You see, that's all talking around wins and losses is what I'm doing there. Now when I talk to people and they say, hey, I'm hearing good things. I'm listening to you and Tom on the show. I'm listening to Wake Up Warchant. I'm reading. I'm on warchant.com. I see you guys talking about this team. Seemingly every segment group is there's somebody to be excited about, etc. I go, yeah. Yep, that's correct. Yes, they're very good. They're going to be awesome on offense, and there's a good chance they're good on defense. And if they're those two things, they're going to win a lot of games. Plus, the schedule is conducive to winning a lot of games. And so it's just cool to be able to embrace that and have that conversation now. Yesterday's scrimmage doesn't change much of that, because it sounds like the guys you think are really good at playing football and are going to help this team did yesterday. And it also sounds like there's areas to improve. Well, there always is. After one scrimmage, you don't expect the team to be a finished product. You do expect the coaches to turn the screws a little bit and say, hey, we got to get better here. I was a little disappointed with this. The tempo wasn't where we wanted it to be. I think we got to get better at tackling, because the defensive coordinators always say that. But that's because early in camp, tackling's a problem. Tackling's a problem in general, as I said in the hour preceding this one. So you have these moments where it's not football speak. I mean, it's not coach speak. They are telling you things about the team, strength and weaknesses and everything in between. But there's not so much wringing of the hands going on anymore. There's not messages behind the messages that suggest they're trying to let you down easy. If you go back to the beginning of baseball season, when I interviewed Link Jarrett, and several other times in other outlets when he talked to people asking questions about that team, if you go back and listen to him and you go back and read those pieces, you'll see Link was trying to tell us all, we're going to suck. We're not going to be good at baseball this year. We've got a thin rotation, can't lose anybody. Then they did lose somebody, happened to be their best pitcher right at the beginning of the season, and they were terrible, as we thought they might be. But he was trying to tell you that without saying it expressly. None of that is on display right now from these football coaches. They have high expectations for a very talented team, and when they criticize this group after a practice, or in this case, a scrimmage, or praise them, it's to the end of they expect to be good. They expect to be very good. They expect to be competitive as anybody in the country. So that is where the compare and contrast sits currently.
Yeah, I think, the important part, too, is it sounds like when there are things to correct, they're confident that these issues can be corrected. It's just the tone in their voice. It doesn't sound like they don't have any answers to the test. So when they're pissed, it's qualified that we need to do better in this area and that area. Like Alex Atkins last night was not thrilled with quite a few things. One of them was procedure penalties. He says we got to get our eyes on the play clock. That tells me there's delay of game issues, organization in terms of getting to the line, making your checks and going. Alex Atkins always also talked about how they made big plays, and there were a lot of big plays. It could be a shot down the field to a receiver. Keziah Holmes, the running back last night, had a big run as well, but he didn't like that there wasn't a consistency in terms of building a drive, and how, in practice, they opened up a little bit and said they don't necessarily get into play 8 or 10 or 12 of a drive when they do practice. So in these scrimmages, they really have to ratchet up the mental toughness, because while in a practice setting they're on the sideline, they have to continue to be better as they get closer to the goal line. So you can hear that there are frustrations there. But one thing that Alex Atkins said in terms of preparation for the offense, because remember, he's the offensive coordinator first. He said, maybe we shouldn't give them all the answers in practice. Sometimes we give them the cheat codes. Maybe that we should let them fail on their own in practice a little bit more. So these are little details. Again, it's halfway through the month of August. They're on schedule, and it sounds like they've got a solution for whatever problems have arisen. But it's not like yesterday's scrimmage was perfect.
Keziah Holmes, you brought his name up. So did Alex Atkins. Let's talk about Keziah Holmes, the running back out of Penn State that transferred down here. I thought he looked great in spring in the first week, and then he hurt his hamstring, and he missed pretty much the rest of spring. Now, he was out there, but he really wasn't. He wasn't really out there, okay, guys? And so here's the deal. He made a difference. When I saw him, I thought he can play right now, and he's going to be a problem for people. Now, he's healthy. He's having a good camp. And I think you look at what he brings to the table, I think he's going to play, man. I think he's going to play, and I think he's going to be a problem for people. I think Florida State has 5 legitimate running backs and 3 that are really good. And maybe the other 2 will be. Maybe 4. Sorry, maybe 4 different skill sets. Because, I can't leave Toafili out, even though I kind of look at him as a pass catcher.
Yeah.
But, that was gratuitous. But I really think they got 4 guys that can help you on any given Saturday at the running back position. You throw Jordan Travis out. I even like C.J. Campbell. They got 5. They got 5 to 6 guys that can hurt you with their legs on a given Saturday. And you're going to say more than that?
Yeah, because Sam Singleton, they said he was a little bit limited last night, but that dude already is a larger body than a C.J. Campbell or Lawrence Toafili, and he's got track speed. I'm not saying that you got to fit him into the rotation this year.
Right. Yeah, I'm saying
if you had a doomsday scenario in which C.J.'s not available, Toafili's not available, Rodney Hill goes down,
going to be all right.
He'll do fine. He will do fine. Like they are stacked there.
I'll give you a better one. I'll tell you, okay, here's a doomsday scenario. You don't have Trey Benson, and you don't have Lawrence Toafili. Not worried. We're okay. Worried, Tom. Not worried at all. All. That is not me saying that there's somebody better than Trey Benson or that the guy that's the 3rd string or 4th string running back is better than Lawrence Toafili. I'm saying they're more than capable with this offensive line and the balance that Jordan Travis makes defenses play with this tight end room and those wide receivers. Those guys are all good enough to hit an open hole and get yardage beyond what you would expect to be the norm, right? We talk about WAR, wins above replacement. Running backs in the league are being de-emphasized. And one of the reasons running backs in the league are being de-emphasized is because of advanced metrics showing that most guys get what is blocked. So you get the yardage that is blocked for. Very few guys, when they go back and watch film in the league, because everybody in the league is a freak, all right? Very few guys get 2, 3, 4, 5 yards beyond what is blocked up for them because guys tackle and guys are big and guys can really run and holes close quickly, etc. In college, I think that number is probably different, probably a lot different. I think that we have 5 to 6 running backs that'll get more yardage than is blocked for.
Yeah.
That's the best way of saying that, Tom.
That is accurate. The reason I would still be concerned if Trey Benson is not available, and I'll give you a stat for it.
He's our best running back.
But also, if you look at the missed tackles forced last year,
he
didn't qualify, as a full season starter because he wasn't a full season starter. But the rate at which he forced missed tackles was rivaled only by Bijan Robinson.
He was a freak. Don't get me wrong. It's not ideal to lose your best running back and one of the best running backs in the country. Agreed. I'm just saying that the other running backs are all plus players above replacement level. They're all really good players. Now, you're not going to replace Trey Benson. Don't get me wrong again. I know that sounds like doublespeak, but it's not. I'm saying that if Trey Benson never existed and all that was left on your roster were the running backs you have right now, we would be having a conversation about how good the running back room is. We would. They're good. They're really good.
Yeah, I just don't know how you fit all of them out there, and that's one of the challenges for the coaching staff this year. Receiver, you've got a lot of dudes, but you've got 2 followed by a list of others, and it is known that that's the case.
Yeah.
The running back room, you've got 1 followed by a list of others that all can do different things, and I don't know
start most places.
Yeah, and we ran off one that's going to start in Kansas State. And I don't mean that Florida State kicked him out. I'm just saying that he saw the writing on the wall. Does that mean that Lawrence Toafili, Rodney Hill, Keziah Holmes all get 2 touches to 3 touches a game? Or I just wonder how that's going to look week to week.
I'll tell you one thing it's going to look, somebody's going to transfer. Now, that means at the end of this year, somebody's going to say, I didn't get enough touches and I'm out. Oh, all right. Well, that's the reality when you bring in a bunch of good players and they all play the same position. It's okay. Somebody in that offensive line room is going to leave. Somebody in that secondary is probably going to leave. Somebody in that wide receiver core is probably going to leave. This is the world we live in now, man. If you have an abundance of good players at a position, you're going to lose one of them. That's the way it's going to work. I guarantee you one of those quarterbacks is going to leave. So that's just the way it works. That's all right. Because what are you going to do? You're going to bring Cromenhawk in and, list everybody that comes back, which is everybody not named Jordan Travis next year, right?
Yeah, I think it might be post-spring. I think for some of these guys.
Sure. But you know what I mean? I'm saying we're headed in that direction. These guys are going to go. It's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I don't begrudge any of them.
No, it's the nature of the beast. And look, before NIL was a thing, quarterbacks were doing that. Like, the 5 years preceding NIL.
Yeah.
The quarterback shuffle was on throughout the country. It's just that every position group is like that. The whole thing, and I know this is its own discussion, but there are a couple of kids I'd be concerned about that I would just say,
hang in there. You got time. You're going to be all right. If you
make it to spring, you might as well make it to fall because by nature of the attrition that this roster is going to see from December onward,
Yeah.
God, there are going to be so many jobs out there for the taking for guys who have waited for their turn.
Yeah, 2 kinds of transfers. Is the kid who gets impatient and can't see the forest for the trees and doesn't understand that if they wait one more year, they're the guy. Yep. And while it sucks to be on the sideline watching other people be the guy, you're about to be the guy. Hang in there. You're just not good enough to start as a freshman or a sophomore, but you will as a junior and a senior, and 2 good years is going to get you drafted if you play well. Hang in there. There's that kid. And then there's the kid that just knows I'm never going to be good enough to beat out the 4 people in front of me, and I need to go play somewhere else. And to him, you say, that's correct. You're not. It's not your fault. We recruited you. You did everything we asked of you. We're going to help you find a home. That's what we're going to do. And I wish you nothing but the best. 2 different types. That's what happens there, And so you just hope that it's usually you hope it's the latter. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
It's summertime in Tallahassee, and it's gonna get hot. The last thing you want to do is your own yard work, so call the Lawn Johns instead. Here's what Linda had to say after her lawn service.
The Lawn Johns transformed my yard. Mark had excellent landscaping ideas and recommendations for the best plants for certain areas. The plan was executed efficiently, and now the yard is beautiful and full of color and variety.
Call the Lawn Johns today for all your lawn care and landscaping at 322-2567, or request a free quote online at thelawnjohns.com.
So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu.
Mm-hmm.
Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chungla, as I call it.
The bungalow chung, Jeff?
Is that what is the pork?
The bungalow chung, Jeff.
Okay, the bungalow chungla. It's delicious. All these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of that nobody would know and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Jeff Cameron Show, final segment. We'll get to probables momentarily before we get to probables, all that good stuff. Reiterate, today's show was recorded. As I said before, going to be out of town tomorrow and Wednesday. Back in town to do a JCS on Thursday in some capacity. Friday, I'm out having a colonoscopy. I don't care. You guys all know now. I've said it 5 times. I want people to understand the schedule's different. But tonight, 7 o'clock, Tom?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, a combo smash/Seminole headlines. Want to make sure we have fresh content for both shows. And because it's my fault, that we would miss Seminole headlines tomorrow. I thought, can we do something together? The answer was yes. The fellas accommodated me. I appreciate that. And now we're going to get together tonight and do a combo smash headlines. You guys join us at 7 o'clock. Should be fun. The three of us will be together. We can answer questions. We can have long-form discussions about all things Florida State and whatever else we get into. And that will serve as tomorrow's Seminole headlines if you're downloading the podcast or you're listening live on 93.3 as well. And then there is no show, no JCS on Wednesday. We're back Thursday. No JCS on Friday. But all the stuff that you've come to expect from Warchant, whether it be video or podcast or, all that stuff, the writing, obviously, it's all going to go as planned, covering Florida State practices. There'll be wrap-ups. There'll be stand-ups. They'll do all those things that they always do. And then I'll be all back to normal, we'd like to think, knock on wood, come Monday. So we're all good come Monday.
That's an extended stay tonight, too, at 7 o'clock because you guys are filling up enough content for the 2-hour window tomorrow. So you guys will be talking for a while on the Smash. Bring the bottle, leave the bottle, folks, if you're joining us tonight live at 7 o'clock.
Yeah. So it should be fun. I look forward to it. Did you watch any baseball over the weekend? I saw, buddy, I almost texted you. I know you don't care anymore, but at one point I saw something like 23-1 or 6 or 3.
Yeah, 21-3. I think the run differential this weekend was 30, but we did take 1 out of 4. It's just the nature of the beast right now for being a Mets fan. But I'm sure the chat's lighting up, too, with that kind of stuff. It's fine, guys. You don't understand. Let me just a quick PSA to my Braves brethren out there. You guys don't understand. The disappointment the Mets have felt my entire lifetime is immense. Even when you make the World Series, you blow 3 leads with 4 outs or fewer to get, and you lose the World Series. You lose to the Yankees in 2000. Like, anything you say is not going to affect Mets gear wearing. It's a Shea Stadium sign. That was a den of bad baseball for decades. 86 is the outlier, so we're going to be fine. It's the nature of the beast being a Met fan. All your teams can't be great. If you guys are actually Hawks fans out there, you understand that too. Falcons too.
Yes. Oh, definitely. Still haven't won a Super Bowl. One of the very few teams in the National Football League to never win a Super Bowl.
Actually, I think it's more impressive than anything the Mets have done to blow a 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl.
That's
so
fair.
It's just not every team can win, but the orange and blue for the Mets, always.
Yeah, during baseball season, you have to. You got to represent. By the way, this goes against that tonight.
With identical records. And you know what? I think our cost per win is exactly the same, right? Cost per win.
Yeah, I laughed today when we sat down to do the show together and you had your Mets cap on and I had my Pirates cap up on. I'm like, how good is this? We play each other tonight. This is good. Good times. I don't even remember what the record was last year. Neither of us have mattered for a while. So it's like,
Well, we won 100 games last year, but just
that's right. I
we
forgot.
won a division, it's whatever.
Hey, we took the Braves to the wire this year, buddy. 2 games to 2 games, and really probably should have won all 4, and they know it. We're a scrappy bunch in Pittsburgh, man.
Yep.
Got a payroll of $7, and we're out here bringing it every night.
Meanwhile, I think there are a few guys on the Mets roster that have golf tees between their ear and their temple as they're in the batter's boxes. Is that a golf tee?
Yeah, my man's wearing a golf glove, in fact. He forgot to change out the gloves. Let me tell you about my friends at Power Mill, the best in the business, equipping, motivating athletes focused on both softball and baseball. They'll give your kids the tools to reach their true potential, and that's what any of us want, whether your kid's good enough to make it to the majors or just have a good run of it in Little League Baseball. Same for softball. You just want them to get the most out of their abilities and have the tools to do so. That's where Power Mill comes into play. PowerMillSports.com. 45 years of experience. Here you go. Let's cue it up. Let's get to these probables. Stros, Marlins, Fromber, Valdez, Braxton Garrett. Pirates and Mets tonight, everybody. That's a TBD for the Buccos. We're running out of people, so they don't know. They may bring up a kid. Carlos Carrasco will go for the Mets. Oh. Hey, it's at Citi Field, buddy.
Beautiful ballpark.
Yankees, Braves, Clark Schmidt, Max Fried. Go Braves. A's, Cardinals, J.P. Sears, Miles Mikolas.
Yes.
Angels, Rangers, Patrick Sandoval. Max Scherzer, who's pitching really well right now. He's now 11-4 with a 3.8.
No, with a 3.8. And look, he pitched 7 innings of 1-run ball against the A's in his 2 starts again. Yeah, he's pitched against the A's and the White Sox. Just hang in there on Max.
Mariners, Royals, Logan Gilbert, Brady Singer. We got the D-backs and the Rockies, TBD and Chris Flexen. Orioles, Padres should be a good matchup. Grayson Rodriguez and Yu Darvish. Rays, Giants, Tyler Glasnow and Ryan Walker. And that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump. All right, so I think it's going to be arduous, Tom, for this week. You guys out there covering. I'm not trying to belittle the fact that I won't be out there, but I am saying that I think you're going to get to know that team and even take another step and get to know that team this week.
Yeah, I think Corey's up taking care of business as a father before Brady's season begins and his schooling begins as well. So Ira, myself, Matt, Aslan. Yeah, we're going to get to know this thing. And I look forward to that too, because the coaching staff has teased that there's going to be some movement in terms of who starts or who's a primary reserve. That's cool. We won't be able to tell you about that, but I can't wait to see that myself. And then full pads. We have not seen full pads in Tallahassee yet. I look forward to seeing those types of days and how that affects the skill position players. You're right. The guys in the trenches, even with just the uppers, you get a good sense of who's doing what. The leg pads don't make that much of a difference when you're doing a one-on-one pass rush.
But they do to skill position players.
Huge difference, humongous difference. And I think for the running back room, for the third receiver position, that's going to help separate the men from the boys. And then also some of the younger secondary players. All right, I don't know if they'll go full live when we get to see them, unlike the scrimmages, but a lot of the freshmen know how to get to the right place. But are you strong enough at 19 years old to bring a guy to the ground like a Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman, or Kentron Portier?
Maybe those guys, but not Trey Benson.
Yeah.
And I can promise you, if you're a corner and you're 5'11", 190, you want no part of that. That is not a lot of fun, man. That's a nightmare. There was nothing worse back in the day, having a guy come through at 235, and the next thing you know, linebacker, he slipped, and here I got to come up and make this hit. No.
So the first 3 names that Mike Norvell brought up for punt returner last night were Keon Coleman, Destin Hill, Vandravius Jacobs.
Yeah.
That's good news.
Yeah, and I think they all have a chance to do good things. Keon Coleman seems like the guy right about now. Tom, thanks for making way for me here. I'm sorry I've messed up everybody's schedule. Tonight, the Smash/Headlines will be doing it up. Make sure you tune in at 7 o'clock. Looking forward to talking to you guys then. That'll be live. Until next time, thanks for the hard work behind the scenes, everybody. Peace.